And my name is Elijah Schaefer. We have a really crazy show for you today. Ben Shapiro's wrong. Number 847, I think we're at right now. Plus, we're going to talk about this Epstein cover-up. Trump's gone. I don't know who he is anymore, but I'm heartbroken. Plus, we found out that Peter Thiel might be connected to the floods going on in Texas. There was maybe some cloud seeding from one of these new tech companies, admitted, by the way, and verified by the mainstream media, but it had nothing to do with it. Remember, we might be an electric nation moving towards renewable resources, but it won't stop the gas from being lit. Exactly. Anyway, my guest today, I'll introduce in just a moment. We have a great show for you guys. This is The Rift. It is a new show. It is a podcast conversation every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we have bonus content on the weekends. Tune in today and continue to find out how you can win, which I don't know where it is, a brand new Kindle. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. Let's start the show. My name is Elijah Schaefer, and I'm very happy to be here today. Welcome, everybody, whether you're drinking something, smoking something, or maybe you're just getting in the Holy Spirit. This is a great night for you today. My guest joining me in the studio, of course, is Braeden Sorbo. Tell us who you are and a little bit about why you're here.
Well, I'm Braeden Sorbo, author of Embrace Masculinity, and the only guy who didn't get the memo that we were wearing cool shirts today, so I missed out on that, unfortunately. But I'm just happy to be here, just ready to give my 2 cents. And, you know, unfortunately, I do happen to be right on a lot of things, and so we're going to see if I can keep that streak.
Well, like my user here, you can bring it up now. I'm going to show it on the screen. Kaboom said, now he didn't just give us 2 cents. He gave $4.99. Let's get an air horn there. Woo. Said, love the show. Keep up the good work. Reminding you guys, we are on Rumble and on YouTube. You can like the video now, drop a comment, and also feel free to send in super chats or Rumble rants. And of course, Michael Hennessy, tell us who you are, why you're here.
Hey, happy to be here. Michael Hennessy of Snowflake_News, also contributor here at Rift and assistant producer. Excited for the show, not excited with our government, but let's see how the show goes.
Exactly. And of course, we're wearing these cool shirts. We'll talk about them a little later in the show today. But joining us remote from California, but definitely California did not change her. She clarified last night. Sarah Stock, tell us who you are.
Yeah, I'm a contributor here. My name's Sarah. Find me on X at Sarah C. Stock. Same thing on Instagram. And excited to talk about how blackpilling this administration is.
Yeah, we do need to talk about that. So usually I like to have a litmus test here of like, whatever Ben Shapiro's saying, I usually take the opposite position. It tends to be correct. But that's not actually what I want to do today. We don't really want to be counterproductive. We want to be in a position where I think for the first time, we're really finding out what a catastrophic failure both the American media apparatus is, left and right, and what the Trump administration has become. Now, you'll see me looking a lot to the left and the right on this show because our main screen is down, so I have to look to find out what's going on over here. However, Ben Shapiro came out, we'll watch the clip again if you're just joining us, and said, look, I agree with what? I agree that the FBI's memo that Epstein did not have clients, he was not a pimp, just like Diddy didn't have clients, even though they had the same prosecutory attorney. But suddenly, though they're connected and linked, there was no blackmail ring. They all just had big mansions and rooms and young girls that were trafficked. We're going to look at some crazy clips that are a reminder that that's not true. But Trump was asked about it today, and I have to say this. I want to look my wife in the eyes and say, I'm sorry, baby, but I just gained a valuable lesson on how to gaslight people looking for answers. This is not good for America, but this is a damn good performance from a man who's clearly been through 3 divorces. Listen to this.
He did work for an intelligence agency, so could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the step?
Yeah, sure. If
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just...
Okay, we could talk about the fact that he's sitting next to Marco Rubio and Pam Bondi and what a catastrophic failure that is. But my favorite part is like this. It's like, this is what I mean. This is a situation. Your wife goes out front. She sees the car is smashed up. There's empty bottles of beer in the car. I'm not talking about experience. I'm just saying the car is smashed up. There's empty bottles of beer, right? The front door was unlocked. Things have been stolen in the house. You're sitting back in the backyard and you're smoking a cigarette with your mate. And your wife's like, what the hell's happened here? And you go, baby, he was just in the middle of a really damn good story right now from college. Like, are we seriously going to be bringing up this boring ass stuff? Like broken cars and robbed houses and kids in danger. We got serious things going on here. He was talking about a nice piece of ass that he hit back in ninth grade. And, but he was in ninth grade, so it was okay then. But it's like, and you're like, but you're sitting there and you're going, are you literally addressing a very serious situation? Like, it's like I'm problematic for bringing it up. I'm not joking. It's like a movie that we're in. I mean, Sarah, you would know about gaslighting, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I think that Trump pulled what do we call it? Like a gatekeep gaslight girl boss move right there. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a real girl boss move.
What, just to completely like, this is actually not even gaslighting, because people ask me, well, what is gaslighting? I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's not a real word, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. It's absurd. People just make it up because they're crazy and they want something to call you. Gaslighting isn't actually a real thing. But if it, like if there were a dictionary definition of what they're thinking of, it's just lying to someone to manipulate them into believing that what they thought to be true was not true, which is super
that's not
possible.
That's not what it is, Braeden.
Oh, what is it?
You think that's what it is? You're just making stuff up on the spot. You're just making up definitions.
Well, I was hoping no one else would catch on to that. Like, that was
Women
just my
trying
desire.
to gaslight reminds me of like women comics. You know what I mean?
True.
it's like leave it to the professionals. No, but let's break this down there. That clip was our favorite word, diabolical.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are bringing this. It's like a movie. Are you seriously bringing up the sex pervert scandal of blackmail from Mossad and the CIA, which we'll watch clips of right now? But I know you saw this. You played this in the office, which we're under construction, by the way. Shout out to Hennessy for helping out with the construction here. And I was just like, I don't even want to hear this. I just started hearing it. I don't want to hear this. I can't do this right now because I got to pretend like I still have hope for this country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really disappointing to hear. I'm not surprised, though, from what we've seen from the administration. You know, they've been pretty much just not following through with anything they said, not keeping the promises. It's not promises made, not promises kept, because no information came out about Epstein. And the fact that he was trying to defend Pam Bondi as well. You know, what he tried to do is deflect. He knew the question was going to her. He jumped in and he just tries to shut us down like we're all dumb. One of the things, too, that they were talking about is how it's a 1 minute that's missing from the video, which, you know, we have questions about that as well. But I think we have footage, actually, if we could pull it up.
Do we right there?
They found the 1 minute.
Oh, good.
So,
Is it the, where is it actually?
if Mike can pull up my screen.
Oh, it's on yours. Hold on, give me
Yeah, we'll have to pull it up. But I do want to say, I want to read this while some shoe on head while we're looking for the 1 minute. 1 minute of footage was missing, but she reminded us of this tweet. She goes, "You should absolutely care about an international child trafficking blackmail operation consisting of the most powerful people in the world, and anyone telling you to move on is coping, gaslighting, or in on it. Remember this shit? They hate you and think you're stupid." Remember this? This actually happened when the House Judiciary GOP, reminding you that's why it's a uniparty. It's not just the House Judiciary, it's the GOP, said breaking Epstein files released. And then it ended up being a link. This really happened to Rick Astley of Never Gonna Let You Down.
They
It's a Rickroll.
Yes, they Rick-rolled you. And that's why what's funny is, while the Democrats, why I respect them, are getting in the ASS, in the Senate hearing rooms, that literally happened too.
Also true.
At least they're willing to film it and they stick to the classic versions of it. The way that the GOP bends us over and puts us in the ASS, it's digital. It's digital rape.
It is.
I mean, it shows how stupid they think we really are. I mean, first time they had the binders out, which had nothing really in it. They're waving around. They're doing photo ops. Then you have, you know, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel all come out and say, oh, well, nothing happened. And now you got Trump pushing for it. They really just think the American people are just going to be dumb and we're just going to go ahead and move on, which a lot of times here in America, we have a hard time focusing on, things that really matter. We get sidetracked with whatever it may be. And they're expecting this to be another scenario where that happens. But the one thing we have to do is we have to hold these people accountable. Children went through the most extreme, disgusting scenarios, and to allow people to get away with the abuse that was given at that time is something we can't stand for. And then also on top of it, not just saying the abuse, the fact that the politicians and the leaders and whoever it is, these people in office who went through and were with Epstein, which they're trying to deny, those people are bought and sold or controlled by being blackmailed. So I would like to know who the officials are, who these people are, because these people should no longer be in office because we cannot trust them. We cannot trust anything that they're going to do, because the second someone pulls out a video, the second someone tries to go against them, says that they'll expose it maybe to their family or just on TV, whatever it may be, they're just going to roll over. So this is something we can't just sweep under a rug, and there's something has to be done about this. Unfortunately, the Trump administration, I think it's more just trying to protect a foreign country where it comes into. That's why you have people like Ben Shapiro coming out as well. He did the same thing with the JFK files. When the JFK files came out, he wanted to say, well, why are we still worrying about things that happen,
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and by the way, buy my new Artsa box.
Yeah.
Because we got to remember, with every grain of rice you eat, each grain of rice might just be in one bite and bring you a full stomach. But, each rice gave their lives. I listened to this honest thing he did. He was like, every victim may be forgotten like a grain of rice is forgotten in a bowl of it, but yet it's still together must be remembered as what fulfills our hunger. And he literally goes into the Holocaust, and I go, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? At least the rice is real. I'm just kidding. That's totally a joke. Yeah. But that's a genuine statement. Do you have the video? You want to bring it up?
I had the video. If it was on
60
there.
60 seconds was deleted.
Yeah, this is just a scene from it right here.
Okay.
Can we see this?
Yep. They say they'll say it's AI, but I believe that's what happened. So
Also,
just so everybody knows.
Can I also make a comment on this? Sarah, you might think this too, but when they have like the 60 seconds and they go, well, who could have gone in and killed him? Do you really think they couldn't have gone in through a vent? Like, people still escape from prison today.
Yeah.
Why would they put them in this crappy prison that's old? Like, why wouldn't they put him in a high stakes facility? Like, honestly, I would rather have him on house arrest. Mm-hmm. That sounds dumb, but it's like on house arrest, guarded like the president would be. If the president is safe in a house, the White House, then we could put him in a building. Why would you don't even put inmates like him that have low-level child violations around other inmates. Why would you put him in a communal correctional facility in New York? They already had a plan. They could have built something. They could have had something. And remember, they just brought his body out and covered it, just like Osama bin Laden, and then dumped it at sea. I want to know, is there anyone on the floor who can touch me? Like, I'm just kidding, no, but I want to know, like with George Floyd, to this day, the autopsy shows something opposite. And I remember the autopsy, we don't even know if the autopsy is real that they showed us. Mm-hmm. And I genuinely mean this. If I was involved in something that scandalous, I would do everything in my power to make sure that the details never came out. And so I don't blame these corrupt people for working together, but that's what I was going to remind people. There's one thing that the Uniparty fights for, and it's to take advantage of children. And that's really what it is.
And the sick part is the conservatives who are coming out and they're defending this. There's a lot of these MAGA influencers or whatever you want to call them. They come out and they're like, why are we still talking about this? Trump is right. We should just move on. Other people are saying that the information was destroyed by the previous administration. And the way that they're just like bending over backwards to try to twist the narrative so this way we'll all just start to file along is really sickening, but it's also very telling of who you can actually trust and see who's actually bought and sold, who's just a part of the whole machine that's the government. And I mean, really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, they're getting sloppy is what I've noticed, because the government is truly evil. They're despicable. I mean, they said we found the Epstein files and it was a Rickroll. How disrespectful do you have to be? How little do you have to think of your constituents to make a joke about children who were raped on an island by the elite and go, ha ha ha, never going to give you up, never going to let you down? Mm-hmm. That is just lazy. At the very least, what I could have envisioned them doing is making the campaign promises. We're going to release the files. The people need to be brought to justice. Them getting in, and then them going on by day 10, week 2, going, it turns out someone in the Biden administration destroyed all of the files and evidence related to Epstein, and we're going to hunt them down. And at the very least, they could get a scapegoat or something. But the fact that they promised for over 100 days into the presidency that they were working day and night tirelessly, they had agents on the case to find what happened to these kids, to discover the truth that had been buried for 8 years or 6 years. And then out of the blue, yesterday and today, they go, well, there actually wasn't anything. And the fact that you're still hung up on it is kind of crazy. What, do you care about these kids so much? We have bigger things to worry about. Like, no, this is a big deal. And the fact that you take it so lightly only serves to tell me that you are in on it.
Yeah, Sarah, I want to hear. I know Sarah's got a delay, by the way, a latency delay, so it's a little bit hard for her to cut us off. I don't mean that. I mean that genuinely. So try to also, guys, as we learn with the remote, try to throw to Sarah if you want to, because it's easier to do that. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me to interrupt you guys and get my point in. But I was gonna say, I mean, it's like even if we have a video of Epstein being
Sarah, can you turn
carried
on your
out,
mic a little bit? Sorry. Do you have a mic control real
I
fast?
turn it down over here.
Okay,
too.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if we have a video of him being carried out, it's like, what does that prove? They could just be pretending he's dead in the video. They could have went in and killed him and then carried him out. That doesn't prove that he could. It's not like we have a video of him hanging himself. So really, like, any evidence they can bring up, it doesn't matter because it's just fake. And also at this point, we have technology so advanced that they even could just fake a video of him killing himself. Same with the autopsy report. That's easily fake too. What we trust, like a piece of paper, it's like, I don't know. There's really no real evidence that could prove that he killed himself.
Well, it's true.
Especially at this point.
What's funny is I was actually looking at like who our followers were, and I look at like look at this. I'm like, who are the people that are in our chat? And then it's just like anyway, yeah, I agree. Now, obviously, as we talk about this, I want to give a huge shout out to super chats here. Stick1776 said Trump's in on the list, either on it or holding names, blackmail Mossad and CIA for the big beautiful bill. I will say the fact that this came out and the next day he invited Netanyahu in, and we're going to show a clip here, and actually stated that he was a really good man. Let me bring this up. Is that in there? Netanyahu. So this is one of the craziest statements. Right after he tells us this, he's asked about Netanyahu, and you're like, does this have anything to do with Netanyahu being in town? Yeah, it's called the mop-up. Here's what Trump said after mocking the American people for caring about Epstein. He tells us who he cares about. And guys, this is not an anti-Trump show. I'm never going to get on this anti-Trump train. I'm pro-America, but I am anti-whatever's going on right now. And I think it's much bigger than Trump. Listen to this.
Do you think that there can be a two-state solution that creates an independent?
I don't know. I'd ask Bibi that question. You have the greatest man in the world to answer that age-old question, two-state. Go ahead. You give him your honest answer.
I think Palestinians should have all the powers to govern.
Sorry, I have to cut that off because Seth Dillon and Joel Barry and all them reminded us that we can't have interviews with genocidal world leaders because you can't listen to them because it's propaganda. So we have to cut them off and not talk about them on the news. So cutting off Netanyahu there for a moment. It's thank you. God forbid we ever hear from a world leader.
It's true.
So anyway, he said like one of the best men in the world, like that's, look, there's nothing wrong with Trump meeting with Netanyahu all the time. I mean, there's a war going on. They're apparently our ally. I have no issue with that. But then like giving him praises as one of the best people in the world, it does make you wonder what the hell is going on. As we get into that, I want to remind you guys this. Listen, guys, we have a brand new sponsor today. We got a wide shot going on here as well. You'll be seeing the whole studio is going to be kind of redone to facilitate more people on. Because of your guys' support and what's going on. Braeden is now a staff contributor, so that's really cool. And Henny will be able to, we're working on studio in there, be able to start his mini series that he'll be bringing up as well to bring you guys, probably start on locals, in the beginning as we're getting it going. Then you'll start seeing the clips on YouTube and, we'll be building it there. But Sarah as well, by the way, who's a staff contributor as well. Thanks to you guys being on, although she got super tanned. Check this out.
It's mostly the lighting's making me look kind of weird and red, but I actually am tan, guys. I'm not red.
Remind me, Sam, can you write that down that I need to send a specialist out to her to get her lighting set up? But listen to here real fast. Quick break from the main topic, but this is something, don't go anywhere because we are a new show and we need you guys to listen to our word from our sponsor here. Now, I think a lot of you will find something really interesting, especially if you've been following the evolution of crypto, how it's starting to show up in more traditional finance conversations. And quite frankly, it is all over the place. And it's like, what the hell's going on here? So you've probably heard about companies like MicroStrategy or Tesla holding Bitcoin on their balance sheets, right? I mean, even El Salvador bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Rumble bought a bunch of Bitcoin. The part of what's called a Bitcoin treasury strategy is something beyond just basic crypto, something that's been all over the mainstream news recently. Basically, instead of just sitting on cash, some companies are choosing to hold Bitcoin as a long-term store of value, or they call it like a hedge against inflation. Now, it's a pretty big shift in how businesses think about their reserves. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There's a company called Hyperbit Technologies that I think is undervalued and could hold huge upside potential that trades under the ticker symbol HYPE in Canada and HYPAF in the USA. You can see it there. It is an actual trading ticker. They are making major moves. It's making a different but related approach. Now, instead of buying Bitcoin outright, they're mining digital assets. This is like a mining company, like Dogecoin, Litecoin, and others through high-efficiency, renewable-powered operations. So they're actually generating crypto. This is quite different. I'm not building a coin. We're not selling a coin. That's not what's going on here. This is a crypto mining company as a part of their core business, which gives them a kind of built-in treasury strategy. They're not just speculating, they're building infrastructure, which is really cool, deploying next-gen mining rigs and using low-cost hydroelectric energy to keep things sustainable and profitable. And because they're producing these assets directly, they're in a position to hold, reinvest, or even use the crypto to expand. Kind of like a self-funding treasury model. You know, with stocks, they have like hedge funds and all that kind of stuff too. This is like a crypto side of that. Now, it's a smart angle, especially as more companies look for ways to diversify their balance sheets and digital assets. For investors, it offers what could be a huge opportunity with a way to get exposure to that space without having to manage wallets or keys or even figure out how to mine yourself. They are mining crypto, buying crypto, and securing crypto. This is a complete diversified company and is how you get exposure to the whole market in one stock. Hyperbit Technologies trades under the ticker symbol HYPE, like I mentioned, in Canada, and HYPAF in the USA. Link is in the bio. And just so you guys know, there is a disclaimer in the description. I just want to point that out. So if you want to follow the link, check it out here. You can trade under these names right here, these tickers. And it's a really interesting brand, really interesting company. You should check them out. Please read the disclaimer. And just a reminder, that disclaimer is important to read because I don't want anyone, when it comes to investing or financials or anything, to ever go in a direction without being well educated. And that's just to let you know, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to put your money anywhere. I'm not inviting you to buy or to do anything. I'm just letting you know this is an investment opportunity in a company that's mining crypto. It's a very, very cool thing. And if you're looking to get into something like that, maybe you should check it out because, again, crypto's unstable, but these companies that are kind of moving in that direction, they're very interesting to me, and I want you to check it out. Now let's get back to the show. I want to play a really interesting clip here. I think I have it here in my yeah, here it is. I think I have it here. So basically what happened is that they tell us that the list didn't exist, that, you know, there's no issue, Trump's gaslighting us. But the unfortunate thing is that it was just a while ago, if you remember, that we even had individuals not just talking about the list being on the desk of Pam Bondi, but do you remember this hidden tape that happened? I think this was, I forget what, is this NBC, MSNBC? Do you know what this was? I'm trying to remember here. You remember?
Do I? No.
Okay.
Was
this ABC, NBC, like a few years ago?
I think this is ABC, and then, yeah, this is like the first.
It was hot mic'd.
Yeah,
check this out. This was them talking about the list of what was going on. This is very credible. If there's no list, if nothing happened, why did we hear about this a couple years ago?
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Okay, so we literally have, like, I think she's like an Emmy Award winning, I might be wrong, but Emmy Award winning journalist talking about how they've had the story, they've got the list, that the royals are on it. This is where the conversation was going. And then Trump comes out and goes, hey, there's no list, okay? There's nothing. Although I was on tape in the election talking about how I might release the list because I know there's a lot of people on it. And then literally, what's his name? Elon Musk comes out and says Trump's on the list. And I still don't think that Trump, did anything to these girls. But I think he knew about it because of that one quote from him directly where he says, we all know Epstein, whatever. He's a, famous guy. He likes his girls, really young. And reminding you, like, this is not necessarily, I guess I was wrong that it was pedophilia, but, Trump may have been referencing the fact that, maybe they're 17 or 16, and I'm not defending this. I'm saying in some states, in some countries, that's legal, okay? So maybe Trump knew about some questionable but legal activity. Abortion's legal, but it's morally wrong, right? Yeah. So it's not like I'm just saying sleeping with 16-year-old girls is okay. I'm saying it's legal in some countries. So don't confuse my words on that. Maybe Trump knew about some things because he had flown on the planes. Maybe he didn't know and he was speculating because you're on a plane and you go, you ever do that? Like a girl, you're like, see somebody with a girl out and you're like, is she even legal? It's that famous Brad Pitt scene when the girl's like, what movie is that? Where she's like, do you want head or whatever in the car? And he goes,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's like,
such a good movie.
Let me see your ID. How old are you? And she's like, are you serious? And he's like, he's looking at her like, you look a little young. This could be a trap. And guys know you don't want to get trapped in this stuff. It can be the downfall. The only time you ever really want to get involved with a minor is if you're a big YouTuber and you have a giant career and a family and you have nothing to lose. So then you decide to do that. That's what they all do.
Specifically a Minecraft YouTuber. For kids.
A liberal, for kids. That's what they like to do.
It's true.
But I feel like this is proof that even the media knows it's a cover up. Nobody's buying this. And for Trump to mock us and be like, yeah, who the hell cares about this? We all do, Mr. Trump. Like we all do. And we'll talk about later in the show some stuff that he's doing right with immigration. So it's not like I'm like, oh, Trump's doing everything wrong. But the raids don't outweigh the fact that our politicians are controlled by a foreign nation and agency, and we almost got this close to finding out about it. And it's the Republicans, once again, who let us down. I'm not very proud to be a Republican today.
Yeah, no, and the one thing too that, as you mentioned, it's not fully against Trump in every area, but we should be allowed to question our politicians anytime they do something wrong. We should be able to go ahead and speak up. We can't just, as I mentioned on the show plenty of times, we can't treat them like heroes. And as far as Jeffrey Epstein is concerned, I mean, this has been going on for a while. He got arrested here in Florida. A lot of people know what was going on behind the scenes, and for the whole time, they've just kept it covered up until it got to the breaking point. And now what they're trying to do is they want to sweep it under the rug and they want us to move forward, but we're not going to move forward. We can't allow that. And the way Trump answered the question too, like he was kind of disgusted by it. Like he's like, oh, talking about the guy with the little kids. Yeah, we want to know what happened to the little kids. We want to make, we want these people to be brought to justice. We want to make sure that these kids can have justice for what they went through. A lot of them probably aren't kids now, but they deserve justice. So I even seen one person talking about how like, oh, every time we bring this up, what we're doing is we're just hurting the victims. You know what hurts the victims is allowing these people to stay on the earth, to go ahead and commit more crimes, to abuse more people, and just allow it to continue. That's really the crime. What we need is we need justice. These people need to be brought to justice, and anybody who messes with a minor, I think, bring
wood
back
chipper,
public
feet first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's my strategy. Is the wood chipper goes, they go in feet first. It's
Let's
interesting.
get an air horn for that, right?
Please, let's go.
Wow.
Well, we had over 300. He's a little trigger
original
happy.
Thought.
Yeah, we had over 300,000 minors go missing over Biden's presidency, and we started recovering and doing all these deportations and stuff. But we still have really yet to hear anything on the front of what has happened. Have we discovered the kids that were trafficked across the border? Have we not?
That's a good point. That was like a huge talking point running up to the election, was all these kids who went missing, and it's like now it's like, we won, so where are the kids at? And no one, have you guys heard anyone from the Trump administration even mention that? Because I haven't.
No, not at all. They're not talking about it. They're talking about the kids in Texas. And they're going, what, you don't care about children drowning? It's like, no, obviously I care about children as a whole. But it seems that your outrage is selective. It's like a litmus test for conservatives where you see these people online going, well, I actually have insider information and you guys are just being panicans. It's the new conspiracy theorist as a term.
Panikin is all these phrases like panicins. I am not, anyone who used that phrase, I am not surprised by you. But I think your lack of shame and your ability to just display and weaponize those terms shows me you are a worthless piece of shit. You are worse than the enemy. In fact, I find you to be more reprehensible than the people who actually abused the women, because at least those people, they did something terrible, right? But yet at the same time, because God exists, there was a chance to bring them justice. But you overrode God. You think yourself to be holier than Jesus Christ himself, that you can cast the judgment, and that when justice could be served, you joined the mob to save your stupid little paycheck, to make sure you still got your invites on Fox News and on the Daily Wire, to make sure that you could still go on your shows of places I used to work that I can't mention. Because why? You want to save that moment so you'll defend Cash. You'll defend Bongino rather than holding them accountable. You are worthless. And there is no greater joy that I have than to hope that your lives are destroyed. I hope that God smites you off the earth. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Because you know what? The only justice we could have is that you deserve a fate worse than the people who committed these crimes, because you're protecting the devil. You are hiding the devil in your floorboards. Listen to this.
So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. It's because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out. And
I think those are honest tears, Sarah. I do, because I know this man's lost a lot, and like I don't ever want to be these guys who goes like, I'm no longer a Trump supporter or whatever, because I don't. This was never about being a Trump supporter to me. This was about supporting the American agenda, and I am thankful to Donald Trump for I guess down here for pardoning a good friend and an employee here at the company. And, thank you, Trump, for helping him stay out of prison. Not all things Trump's doing is wrong, but I've lost hope in this government completely now. It's over. And I don't ever say it. I have no hope in them to do anything but to perhaps just reach a small percentage of the promises they've made. But in terms of fighting evil, they've become evil, and it's not an exaggeration. And anyone like Clay Travis, who's like, you really think that people would lie and give up their podcasting jobs? Yes, they would, and they are. So it's not an exaggeration. Those tears are real, and I feel it, and I sense it, and I believe it's to protect Israel.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's to protect Israel as well. I think that's exactly what the country's doing, the government's doing. But, as far as it goes with this Trump administration, I was hoping for a lot more to happen as well. I'm very disappointed. As you mentioned, yes, I'm happy, as I say all the time, that I'm not in jail for 5 years, because that's what I was looking at. But if we look at the problems that we have before us, like, first off, you have with Jeffrey Epstein, he said he promised to release the information. This was going to be the time of having a government of transparency. We're not getting that at all. All we're doing is we're getting it swept under the rug. Epstein's being protected. As far as illegal immigration, there was a fight for H-1Bs, so then that's another problem. Then freedom of speech. Well, we're going to limit your speech if you talk about a foreign country. everything this administration has been doing, there is some good that they've done, but most of it has been not good at all for us as the American people, and it's not what we voted for. What we voted for was to get the illegals out, to have the truth come to light, have these people be arrested, have these people be prosecuted. You know, we voted for no war. We didn't want any more war. Now you have us worrying about, you know, we had to worry about Israel and Iran, and now Trump's also saying that he's going to send more weapons to Ukraine. So all these things that are coming about are nothing that we want as the American people. Is not in our best interest. It's in the interest of foreign nations and mainly Israel.
Yeah, I will say it's really a shame because obviously, you know, we're sitting here and we're complaining about Trump, and then all the liberals are going, well, this is why you should have voted for Kamala. And it's like, that's not the answer either. Unfortunately, she would have been somehow she would have been significantly worse. Like, it's honestly impressive how bad Trump is doing. And we at the same time know that Kamala would have been worse. But now we're fighting a war on two fronts. Now we have to fight with the left, who's saying, well, you need Kamala, you need Zohran Mamdani, you need all these people. And then you have the right who are saying, why aren't you trusting the plan? Why aren't you, were you being a panic and stop worrying? Everything's going to be okay. And it's like, no, dude, everything is not okay. We were promised no new wars. We were promised the Epstein list. We were promised the children who were trafficked across the border would be rescued. And none of those things are happening. In fact, we're getting more wars. We're getting perpetual wars. Like you said, he's donating more weapons to Ukraine. We're getting new ideas of, well, we might go bomb another country in the Middle East because they might have weapons too, and we got to stop them. And then we're also getting no advancements on the children. In fact, we're getting negative advancements. We're losing ground because what we did have is being taken away from us, and we're rightfully calling it out. And unfortunately, neither side is really seeing the authenticity of this. And so you have people posting Alex Jones, just the screenshots of him crying, saying, ha ha, look at this fall from. He's crying about kids who were abused by elite pedophile rings connected most likely to Mossad, right? He's crying about terrible, tragic things that have happened in the world. And we have people who are celebrating it. Like, how sick do you have to be?
Like, I'm just sad. And this is not even a reaction. It's demoralizing. And it's sort of like, it reminds me of like when my mom died, you know, like you kind of just go shit. And then you like, but then you sit there and you're like, I don't have a mom anymore, you know, that's crazy. And it starts to hit you like, my whole family's different, you know, and then like down the road, the family falls apart and you like, you feel the repercussions later. And sometimes you're like, damn, that was way more serious than like in the moment, the adrenaline keeps you up, you know, when someone dies and you're just like in shock. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that was a significant moment. That's how I feel about this Trump betraying us on this moment. It's going, you know, you could have just not released them and kept lying to us, but then to lie so big and to sit around and to mock us next to Marco Rubio, who you told us was a snake, next to Pam Bondi, who we warned you was a snake, and to talk to us like we're some bitchy girlfriend who wants to know what we're going to eat for dinner, or to know if you would love us if we were still a worm, you know? It's like, that's literally what it is. It's like, seriously? You know I'd love you if you're a worm, you know? And it's like, hey, pretend to care.
I think the really bad thing about all of this, like Trump betraying us and all these different things, is the fact that it's all happening under the Trump administration, because then you have all of these loyal MAGA supporters who are, it's like they're unable to actually think for themselves and tell right from wrong. And so because this happens under Trump, they're going to completely like just keep trusting the plan no matter what. And it is like more subversive that way. You know what I mean? Like now you have all these people who are like, well, I guess, you know, if Trump said it, Epstein or something, where as if this all happened under Biden, is that, you know, if Biden brought us into a war against Iran and stuff, then at least MAGA could be like, you know, thinking for themselves and opposing it. But now because it's happening under Trump, they're all going to be supporting all these horrible things. And that's like the worst part of it.
Let me ask you, let me say this too. A couple of super chats here. We're not, this is so sad. We're not going to do a strip show.
Oh, no.
Oh,
but
I
for $50, let's just get some round of applause and some, because that's at 100 now. But $50. Homer J. Fuentes in the chat saying, Epstein is sipping Mai Tais in Tel Aviv. I'd believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I'd believe that. And that's why also, too, from YouTube, $5 super chat from Chanel-agent. What's up, Chanel? She's been around for a really long time here. It's been crazy. Said, fully agree with you, E. I'm so proud to take a stance once again with you, stay based, stay consistent, and keep noticing, especially when they say not to. And I want to address somebody in the chat here who was saying like, oh, like, where is it? It's like a, they were saying like, who is this? I think it might be Wonder Bucket, but I want to read. Oh no, it's Moldegard was like, said this: DJT has put years of work into forming MAGA. Anyone who leaves his party for a brand new party started with no work will fall for political promises over and over again. So reactionary. The fact that people are even saying this when someone like me is reacting to really sad news is not reactionary. It's just, wow, this is heavy. And to say that again, disingenuous, about the fact that we are supporting Elon's America Party. Listen, there's enough Indians in Canada and the United States. I don't support that. But I will say, I'm even having my own interesting struggle because of my comments on Indians and stuff. I'm not saying I support anybody, and I'm not even saying I've, unregistered as a Republican or that, I don't have any hope for the American people. But when it comes to himself, like, I just almost feel like packing up my bags and just, sitting around and being like, what really was this all for? Mm-hmm. And it's hard. It's hard to accept how bad things have gone. Now, I do want to remind you guys something important, though. Thankfully, this is why I said this show exists. We exist to track the BS. I used to run a show called You Are Here, and it just came up with the fact that, like, years ago, I'd already come up with the idea of, like, there's no name for a show because we just talk about where we are every day, because it's every day we're in a new place, and there's no consistency. But, thankfully, we have this new project here working on with the Rift, and people believe in it. One of those companies is Red Pill Threads. I was wearing this today because I'm telling you guys, there's something about the shirt. Look at this. The thing is not only does it fits nicely, it's like good. Ooh. Yeah, this is doing good. But it's like, this is like a good shirt. It fits nicely. See this? This is a large, by the way. I could wear an XL too if you wanted a little looser. Some of the larges are a little tighter.
I didn't even know you were wearing that today, and I wore mine today.
Let me see. Let's go. Okay, yeah, so you're on the same pathway of just like
Crusade shirt.
Deus
Crusade.
Vult.
What they wore during the Crusades.
Deus Vult. King Baldwin.
Yeah, but it's just like, hey.
This means we're taking back the Holy Land for Christ.
Yeah, God only at this point.
80-year curse.
I have one as well.
The 80-year curse is in motion, guys. Oh.
And then I got the trans flag with the
Star of David.
Star of David. Well, they say it's the Star of David.
I have one
that's a little questionable.
I have one that says Christian nationalist is Jesus holding an AR.
He just wants to take off his.
I just want to take
flex. That's just what he wants to do. He's where are we getting that? What is that?
It's just wrong. It's me.
Okay, I thought that was our intern.
Not me.
So dark. It just comes up that way.
So dark.
But redpillthreads.com code RIFT right now. You get a discount. I'm not even sure what the discount is. They're already a good price. They're not even like $50, $60 like most people's merch.
It's a Rift for 10% off.
Oh, 10% off. You can get amazing t-shirts there. I encourage you to check it out. That's redpillthreads.com code RIFT. And when you get a code there, I love the one of the Burger King guy.
Yeah.
I also have the Daniel Penny with the laser eyes. I think it's just kind of like, I'll probably wear that
Look
tomorrow.
at Wangaff.
What does Wangaff stand for?
White ass niggas going hard as fuck.
Damn.
And that was a Mexican guy saying that. He was allowed to say that. That's so wild. Yeah, these are some freaking awesome t-shirts. They have so many. I got the Daniel Penny one too. Pick up your shirt today. Make a statement. These are not like just like, America. It's like these say something. And they're comfortable. They're true to size. So that's what I'm saying. If you want something tight, do one size down. If you want it to fit like, that's probably true to size. Like it's probably a large, right?
It's a large, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm a little bit taller. So like usually I'd wear an XL, and this is why this is tighter. If you wore an XL, it'd be really tight too. He wears double XL. I wear XL. But most importantly, grab it at redpillthreads.com code RIFT. Girls wear them too. I do think it's a good looking shirt. Sarah, if you want to show it one more time, just to see that you guys can wear it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, look at that one. Hell yeah. All right, pick it up, redpillthreads.com. Promo code RIFT for 10% off. You guys can pick your favorite one as well. I do want to continue talking about this. However, I actually do want to read just a reassurance before we switch topics here. I really almost gave up hope, and I'm being. This is an emotional response. I know it's kind of gay, but I thought maybe everyone got it wrong, and maybe Maybe everyone was grifting. Maybe it was all a lie. Maybe everything we're doing isn't worth it.
Oh.
And then I read this tweet from a theologian named Cat Turd. And it said, one more time, I know a little something, and I have 100% faith in Dan Bongino.
What
and
what
Cash
does
Patel.
Cat Turd? We're
Thank
trusting
God.
like a.
No, in
Is
our
this who we're
darkest hour,
trusting now?
this is who the Trump administration has decided to give very detailed.
Holy, Cat Turd Almighty.
That's gotta be.
You know that song?
Blasphemy to a certain degree, I think. Oh, there he is. This is who we're putting
that's
our
the
trust
guy,
in.
huh?
Thank God.
This guy, the Trump administration personally handed over the Epstein client list to Cat Turd, and he's just waiting for the right moment to bestow it upon us.
That's what it is.
I want to say thank you to Cat Turd. I actually have nothing bad to say about a cat. You know what I mean? Like, what could you say anything bad about a cat? No. Thank you to the Cat Turd. I'm like, I love when the only thing missing from this, if you go back to the screen, the only thing that is missing from this tweet. Oh wait, my screen. The only thing missing is if you had this tweet saying one more time, I know a little something, and I have 100% faith in Dan Bongino and Cash Patel. Now go back to the picture of him, and then it should have had that and said, what do you notice? You know what I mean?
I want to know what the proposed community note is. I don't know what someone's trying to
It was a
community note it as.
screenshot by Bert Macklin that said, Don, are you sharing information with Cat Turd? He keeps bragging about having inside info. And someone said, Cat Turd is high on litter box fumes. Someone also said he is making up crap and you are eating it. Literally, if you believe, look, and I don't want to talk crap on, I don't know this person. He's probably a nice guy.
He does an animal rescue, from what I know.
Yeah,
he's a good
probably
guy.
a good guy.
Yeah.
But like the MAGA grift is over, everyone.
it's
It's
sickening.
over. It's over. It's done. We should have a funeral for it. We used to do funerals for
We
things.
could do a procession.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over.
Carry the coffin.
I don't know what you
No.
think, Mendoza, but it's like if you're having a hard time right now and you need reassurance, I would say it's pretty reliable to look to an account called Cat Turd to ensure that we can still trust the administration.
Well, I mean, personally, I don't know what you guys are so down in the dumps about because I got what I voted for.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh man. Back to the Yeah, it's not.
There's a lot of questions about it all. And it's just crazy, these podcasters that are coming out and just doing stuff like that. This is exactly what I was mentioning earlier, is the people who are grifting just so that they can collect those paychecks. But, we know that something happened. We know there's tons of things that point to that this is, the story is that there are people who are involved with this. We know the relation Giselle Maxwell, her father, had with Mossad. We know the relationship there. We know that these officials are covering things up. And another thing people have been pointing out as well is the door. The original photo of the Jeffrey Epstein door I actually have here. If you can go to my screen, this is supposed to be where he committed suicide. No, guess it's not coming
It
up.
takes a second.
Yeah.
It takes a second. So you have to
This
just
is
do what
a new
I
one.
do when you can tell something's technically taking a while. You just keep rambling.
Okay.
Just go,
Well,
and so
so-
totally, I think that it's good for reasons that therefore are not.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just didn't know which one was yours.
No
Greg.
worries. So this was the door that was originally when the whole Epstein thing happened, the quote unquote offed himself. This was supposed to be his jail cell. But then when we go over to the photos that are being released, the doors don't even look exactly
Go
the
back
same.
to that. Go back to that. Are you serious?
Yeah. So that's the photo that they put out that was supposed to be Jeffrey Epstein's cell.
Well, maybe it's just changed over the years. So when they went back to get the video,
Right, but what if
maybe
his
they
cell's like
rebuilt it.
it's an Excel spreadsheet? So someone just like deleted a line and then replaced the
Or
formula.
maybe that's a door to the hallway that went into his cell.
I think that's a
maybe there
number
was.
46.
That looks like a cell
Like,
door
why
to
does
me.
I'm just wondering, why does the cell look like it's just in someone's
So unless,
living room or
unless
something?
the
It looks really weird.
Yeah, unless the original news report was a fake door, or unless this video, those are not the two same locations.
So I think in this picture, it was saying that stairway was going down to, ostensibly the other picture. But like those two doors actually, with the green doors, are supposedly not either of those are his cell, but it's supposed to be that stairway that's going down to the wing that he's in.
So someone could have been in that hallway. Someone could have been in that area.
I guess, I don't know.
There's multiple scenarios that could have happened, but that's not.
I've lost track.
Yeah, that's not the same photo that they're circulating.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, like, this is all. This is also from the chat in the chat here in YouTube. Remember, follow us here if you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble. I'm gonna put we have the chat. We're trying to get to 5K tonight on YouTube, so make sure you hit the follow button and subscribe. But I'm gonna be upfront with you guys. I have never cared about followers. Like, we just gave up a channel with over 500,000 followers because it was censored, and we're just like, whatever. I don't even care. I've been around long enough where I have one standard. If you're honest about the facts, and you're transparent, authentic about how it's affecting your life and what you really think about the future, you'll never need to worry about followers, because even if there's only a few, they are the greatest, either the SOBs, right, or the Kesbians, or whatever we used to call ourselves over the years. You gain a really great group of people. And some of you guys have been hanging out for like 7-8 years now. And, remember, if you join the locals, which will have a special thing at the end, you can also get in the Discord channel. So trying to get the Discord. There's an active group of people that are just as possibly mentally retarded as everyone here. And they are incredible, and we appreciate it. And this show obviously has been, a difficult show to launch, because we kind of took a news show that I used to run. I'm a journalist. I do, we do original investigations and reports. And then we paired it with Slightly Offensive, which in of itself, it's probably illegal in a lot of countries today. That show, it actually is. And then we try to compare it to this, so it's more of a fun, upbeat conversation. We can't do it without you. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching, I appreciate you guys. But this guy Snafu's like, oh, you're a turncoat. You're gonna get up and run again. Whatever. It's like, look, I don't care. We've supported Trump. I don't need to say anything. I do believe the MAGA movement itself is dead, and what you're seeing now is the beginning stages of competing sects, not SEX, of the right wing, trying to figure out who's going to gain power when J.D. Vance gets nominated. So that's sort of what's going on here, because the Zionists know that Gen Z is anti-Zionist and don't support this, and they're not going to try to court the young vote. So they have to figure out what to do going forward. And what they're doing going forward then is to move towards the center. This is my diagnosis of it. They're moving towards the center because they need to try to awaken the independents and the middle voters who don't really vote, to try to gain a new voter base, because the right wing that they appealed to in 2016 and 2020 now does not support Israel and Zionism. So they are intentionally abandoning us. If it feels like they're abandoning the far right or the fringe right or the nationalist right or the Christian nationalist right, they are, and it's not because they're stupid, it's because it's an intentional abandonment of us to appeal towards liberals and disaffected liberals to make a moderate party to try to make up for the votes that they're going to lose in 2028, okay? That's the truth. So they're going to lose us. They already know it. They've sealed the deal. So fuck you. You don't get the Epstein list. You don't get anything you want. You don't get Christianity. You don't get, ethno-nationalism. We will give amnesty. We will give work programs. And then it's not amnesty. It's just a work program, a permanent residency. Yeah. But it's not amnesty, by the way, because we changed the name of it. And if you feels like you were used, they used us to get the votes they needed to get where they are. They're done with us. Okay, they know that we don't, because why are they done with us? Because they know we're not going to support their main funders, the main operation, which is Israel. And so they're done with you. And so what they're going to do is they're going to make you seem crazy and stupid. You're going to get in this cycle, just like the left did in 2016, 2018. You know who will be calling for your censorship? The same people now who are saying that you can't listen to Tucker Carlson anymore. Because why? Just like when they claimed we were all funded by Russia, I lived through that. Now you're funded by Qatar. You watch the right become the left, just like the neocons were originally socialists and communists, and then they joined the Republicans and became conservatives, and now they're disaffected liberals again. You're a retard. You got duped. So did all of us from 2016. That's why I don't want to hear it from anyone who's like, well, I didn't support Trump now. I'm trying to wonder if Trump ever had an idea in his back pocket to ever really fight for us in 2016, or if we all got duped then, because it looks like we were just pawns to be used and the Uniparty wins. And it wouldn't have mattered if Kamala won. It wouldn't have mattered if Trump won. All that mattered in this last election is whatever selfish needs you wanted or needed, if they got met. And I told people I'll never regret my vote because I don't think anything would have changed or been different. I think at least we'll get, we have closed borders, so at least we don't have more new immigrant illegals coming in. That's a positive. I think the raids will get some of the old illegals out to keep us at peace. But I don't think they want to get rid of the people. I don't think the goal is to get back the nation that we want. Who is that gay guy who got convicted of stuff that was the disaffected congressman?
George Santos.
Yeah, well, George. Yeah, but like I have nothing against George too. Actually, George has always been like nice to me too. I don't have any problem with these people. I just know he's generally he's talented and whatever. But he did put out something that I thought was really interesting, and I didn't mean that to be disparaging either, because like I don't know if any of that's true, right? It's just alleged stuff, and people say stupid shit all the time. How do you spell his name?
George, George, Santos, Santos.
Okay, I typed that in, it didn't show up.
I think it's...
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, it is.
So George posted something that I thought was actually pretty brilliant. Not because I agreed with it, I just want to remind you, but because it's true. He said this: I've been MAGA since 2015, ride or die for President Trump. And it's true. He has actually been ride or die MAGA.
Yeah.
And he said, but I've got to say, it's getting real old watching people who just discovered politics 5 minutes ago act like gatekeepers of the movement. So what is he talking about, right? Suddenly everyone's a purist, and folks like Scott Pressler, who've actually done the work, are catching strays from armchair revolutionaries. The arrogance on social media is off the charts. It's not just loud, it's destructive. We're not building a movement, we're eating our own. And here's the kicker. When I, a diehard MAGA guy, find myself drifting towards the center, key words, you're gonna hear this change over the next 4 years, alongside Trump, you better believe something's gone sideways. The base is cannibalizing itself in some delusional quest for ideological perfection. MAGA was never about uniformity. It was about America first, and America is diverse. If that bothers you, maybe you missed the point entirely. So now MAGA is about cultural diversity, and but by the way, it kind of was always. He's not wrong about that. It's just that part of the diversity included nationalists like those of us on this show and in the room, but we're not invited to the table anymore. You are not here. There's some information, unlike Catford, that it's actually true that I want to divulge on the show that I'm going to wait to find out if I can. It's not like, oh, Epstein didn't kill himself. It's just like some stuff about the inner workings of the Trump admin that confirm this to me. But I will tell you, as I've mentioned, that there is somebody inside the White House who controls what influencers are a part of there, and they do look at your history. And as of now, if you're critical of Israel, they will not work with you. That's all I'm going to say. This is their move towards the center. And again, just like we were extremists then, but he was willing to use us, you're extremists again. And I will let you know there is no future for you in this party. And that does not mean that the America Party is your party. What it means is you better wake up, Whitey. You better wake up, Christian. You better wake up, straight person. Better wake up, traditional woman, because this country is made for everyone else but you. And that's going to be the official position of MAGA going forward. I digress. Am I wrong on that?
No, not at all. You're not wrong in any of what you just said, unfortunately, because the problem is we can't go to the America Party because that's just the India Party pretty much. And so there's really no place for us.
It's the SAR Party.
It's the SAR Party, right? And that's, unless you're doing interviews in a suit and barefoot or eating curry with your hands, you won't necessarily fit in. And so, yes, there is this exclusion where we once felt welcomed. And I, for one, personally feel it as well. I mean, I was 2016. I wasn't old enough to vote. I was like 16, I think, 15 years old at the time. But I wanted to be involved. I was involved. I was debating people, while I was in high school on being pro-Trump. I was doing all this. America first. This is what we need. And, obviously, when I was in high school, I think a lot of the viewers can relate to it too, is, a decade ago, we're all listening to Ben Shapiro and we're like, wow. And then, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, we're going, oh, okay. All right, Mr. Shapiro, you got me. And so, yes, we do have this kind of, this fracturing, this schism away from the traditional Republican Party, because what used to be, or I guess what we thought used to be America first, isn't. And so we feel affected. And when we rightly point that out, we're just ridiculed. And so, yes, wake up, because it will be too late before you know it.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. We are seeing that drift now. They're trying to push us aside, trying to make us seem like we're the extremists, like we're the ones who, are causing problems and causing waves, and that we just need to trust the plan or whatever it may be. But we can't be brainless. We can't just follow along to whatever crap narrative that they want to put out there for us. The whole reason I started this, getting into this, is because of the fact that I wanted what's best for the country. I wanted it coming out. And what this government has shown is that it is not America first, and it will never be America first for them. Just like it won't be America first for a Democratic leader, it's not going to be America first for a Republican leader. What we have to do is we have to go ahead and stand up to this narrative that they're pushing, because we're going to see more and more of it. We're going to hear more name calling. We're going to hear more of them try to degrade us, trying to break us down. But this is when we need to stay strong, because otherwise, eventually we leave this earth, but we have to leave it a better place for those that we care about, our children, our family. And if we just go ahead and just agree to everything and just allow it to be destroyed, just like pretty much the boomers did, then we're going to be in a worst case scenario.
Yeah, Sarah, I don't know if you agree with that, but I want to talk about an interesting story that has to do with 2028 that I don't think people are talking about. And I want to stay true to the stories of the show. So let's get into some of our top stories outside of the ultimate topic today. We're talking about cloud seeding in Texas and the connection to Peter Thiel and the Trump administration and what many are calling a confusing development. Let's talk about our top stories for the day. All right, so this post came out from the Hustle Bitch, and I do want to give my apologies here. The show is supposed to be a lot less cursing than previous shows. There's been a little bit more of it, but if there's a time to curse, it's been this week. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Wagnafs or whatever that was
just
called.
a little
Okay.
Wangaff.
Wangaff. He said, Hustle Bitch _, very purposely said this: holy shit, Texas cloud seeding CEO funded by Peter Thiel connected to Palantir. The story's going to get weirder, but let's get the background. Meet Augustus Dorico, a 25-year-old tech bro and Thiel fellow who founded the weather modification startup Rainmaker. According to publicly available info, Dorico's company was reportedly cloud seeding over parts of Texas just 2 days before historic flooding hit those same regions. He received $100,000 through Peter Thiel's fellowship, the same Thiel who co-founded Palantir, a surveillance and defense tech giant tracking everything from troop movements to civilian behavior. Let that sink in. Why is a Palantir-connected billionaire funding private weather experiments in Texas? Why is a 25-year-old with no public oversight allowed to modify the sky? They called it stewarding the natural world. Texas got biblical flooding instead. This isn't a theory. It's documented, privately funded, and totally unregulated. No vote, no consent, no accountability, just Thiel money, weather manipulation, and a flooded state left asking questions. Now, obviously, this is just a post. Just because it has views and it's not, community noted doesn't mean it's, not true. Now, Grok does say, yes, he did and was funded by Peter Thiel, but it got weirder today. As I was perusing through the internet, I saw a report come up from the mainstream media. And of course, the mainstream media reporting on something could mean either something's less credible or more credible. I'll let you decide what you think. However, in a quite interesting story, I saw this come up after these, catastrophic floods. If I can get in here real fast. Check this story. This is from NBC. Tell me what you think.
Times you might have seen posts or videos connecting cloud seeding to what is happening in Texas. And then earlier tonight, the CEO of a weather modification company confirmed that planes in Texas did release silver iode into the atmosphere 2 days before the floods. But he also explained why he says scientifically it does not mean that the two events are connected. Watch this.
We're talking about like sub-centimeter amounts of precipitation, be it in snow or rain from every event, which in aggregate can mean hundreds of acre feet, which is very consequential for farmers and ecosystems, but cannot come close to causing flooding unto itself.
And NBC News climate reporter Chase Kane joins us now. Chase, any conspiracy always starts with like a thread of truth here. Can you explain the science? Like, what is cloud seeding, first off, and how is it being used in Texas?
Yeah, so cloud seeding is really this idea for farmers of like, hey, there's some moisture up there in the clouds. Is there a way that we can get it out of the clouds down here to the surface to help farmers? Because water vapor that's in the air needs something to grab onto, which is often like smaller than the tip of a pen. So you're thinking like pollens, particles of pollen or dust or even air pollution. So you see this graphic here. Basically what they do is they fly planes up there to give the water vapor something to grab onto. So it's a combination of silver iodide and salt, actually. And so the water vapor forms around that. Eventually it gets heavy enough and then falls to the surface of rain. So when that happens, we're talking really small amounts of rain. In fact, scientists have been debating for decades whether or not this is actually very effective to do. So even when it does work, Gotti, we're not talking about a lot of rain, certainly not the amount of rain that they saw in Texas last week.
And the timing of it, 2 days before, I mean, you know, again, anybody online that seems to be an expert these days would say, well, no, this is what, you know, started the flood or possibly like supercharged the soil so it was hydrophobic. Like, well, take us through the timeline here.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Gotti, because this cloud seeding, it works within like 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour, and then that's it. So that was done 2 days before. So the CEO saying this, other scientific research establishes that cloud seeding isn't going to trigger something like this, certainly not 2 days after they were doing it. They were only up in the air cloud seeding for about 20 minutes because, again, it's targeted to a pretty small area.
Listen. Some people say 20 minutes is a really long time. Like some people say, oh, you know, has to be 40 minutes of cloud seeding. You got to seed the cloud for 50 minutes. I'd say, man, if I was a cloud and I was getting seeded for 20 minutes, I'd think that was a good, that's a really long time to get seeded. And like, you shouldn't make fun of it. You shouldn't mock it. It should be something you're appreciative of. But, you know, but I would never be a cloud and never get seeded. I'd probably be more the cloud seeder. You know what I mean? But I thought one of the best parts about this was, it was like, so you're telling me that they're, like, after all this gaslighting from the left and the right, let's get the facts down. The Weather Service knew about a storm coming. The National Weather Service had more staff on duty. They had 5 instead of 2. There was proper warnings that went out, but yet there was so much water in such little time, it was confusing and no one could have prepared for it and they couldn't have helped anyone. And it turns out in the same area, there was cloud seeding that was done just before, which does cause torrential downpours. And we remember in Dubai this happened. Do you remember in Dubai? They did cloud seeding and flooded Dubai last year. I think that was last year.
It was 2 years ago.
They
They try to debate it and say that it wasn't because of the cloud seeding like we're running into now. But a lot of people say that that's why you had those extreme flooding in Dubai.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah.
I was actually just looking it up again.
Okay. So you remember that. Yeah. So that was pretty serious. And then you find out that there's cloud seeding in an unexplainable flood. And I'm not into the whole blame climate change, blame, weather control. But the fact that the media comes out and says, look, I just want to tell you guys something. It's going to seem weird because Peter Thiel, who's contracted out with Palantir and working with Trump, you know, even though he was just seeding the clouds to rain above this area in Texas, they're not really related because, you know, even though... It's like you just ran out of ideas to say. Just like, even though, you know what? Never mind. It's definitely connected. I would like to say, as someone who's never made a claim about weather control that wasn't accurate, we know the United States did do cloud seeding in a weaponized warfare with China during Trump's last admin. You know, that was the whole reason why that China, you know, ended up submitting to Trump's trade war back in his first administration, was because we sent planes, cloud seeded over their fields, caused flooding, and we wiped out a bunch of their crops. Yeah, that was like the whole CIA thing that happened. And then we cloud seeded them, and then they had floods, and then they had to buy all of our produce. So we like said, you're gonna. Trump said one way or another, you're going to submit. Yeah. And they went, what do you mean? And then the next week there was catastrophic floods that wiped out all of their crops, and they had to buy from us. And then that's when it created a tension. They started investing in their own military, and it started this whole South China Sea, fiasco. So that happened. We do know they make clouds. We do know that there are things that go on. We do know that cloud seeding caused the flooding in Dubai. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, okay, maybe Maui was a government operation. I'm just saying, I'm speculating. I'm not making claims.
Well, we might be able to know for sure if the houses were blue and they were saved.
I don't know if that's true though. Is that? I don't know if that's.
They say because of the laser. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true.
I'm not sure. But I'm just sick and tired of these people playing God. Really, I mean, you have we have the cloud seeding. That's a big problem. We're seeing time and time again where they're trying to manipulate the weather. You have the chemtrails. You have all these other scenarios. You have Bill Gates, who wants to release all these mosquitoes around into the population, or even he wants to black out the sun in certain areas. So it's just these manipulations of the weather, the manipulations, everything. I mean, I'm really getting sick and tired of these elites trying to play gods. It's getting very annoying.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I mentioned on the show yesterday, there was a flooding in California in like the 1950s. They declared a statewide emergency because a guy said that he could precipitate rain, like he could force rain through cloud seeding, and then he did. And then the government was like, we want this technology. And he said, no, this is too dangerous. And then he ended up offing himself, just like Epstein. And all of a sudden, our government is now, sending this technology, and we have a 25-year-old who supposedly just has it, received $100,000 from Peter Thiel's foundation. And all of a sudden these floods happen, but there's nothing in connection. Stop asking questions. Like you said, it's people just playing God.
Mm-hmm. Good news, though, everyone. Good news. DW.com said, fact check, Texas floods, cloud seeding theories dismissed. Matt Ford said, conspiracy theorists have blamed the devastating flash floods in Texas on cloud seeding. Scientists have dismissed the theories as baseless. They want to remind you that it's baseless. Please get your 12th booster because that's science, and don't question it. I don't think anyone cares what scientific experts say about anything these days.
No.
It's actually it's. Do you ever feel frustrated about this? Because science is not baseless, and it is not. You can't dismiss it entirely, and it is not useless at all. It's actually a lot of it's fantastic. Just like modern medicine's fantastic. But there's so much corruption and so much of it is propaganda that it's like makes you unwilling to accept most of it. And it's sort of, it sucks to people. Like, if someone says like, hey, imagine someone said they found a cure for cancer. You wouldn't believe it because everyone's already found the cure for cancer, but yet everyone's getting it and barely anyone's surviving. You hear, people take ivermectin and fembendazole. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, fembendazole.
Yeah, fembendazole. And they say it shrinks tumors. I'm not claiming that, making medical claims. Just people say that stuff. Maybe that stuff's true, But it's just hard for me to accept anything because you get so much information about everything coming in that it's like, don't worry, guys. The scientists said it's not true. That cloud seeding didn't have to do with it. Thank you. I don't like.
Okay.
Stupid.
Personally, I don't really think. I mean, there could be cloud seeding, but it's also like, what would the...
There was cloud seeding there within 48 hours.
Yeah,
they did do it.
Okay, but it's just like, okay, but why would they want to just randomly flood some girls' camp in Texas? And like, we think like Peter Thiel wants to do this?
Chaos.
I don't know.
No. It's called weather weapons. You're testing your own weapons, and you're testing the ability to control a narrative. Like the point is we used them in China allegedly, but the reports came out that that's what we did. And the thing is, weather modification, if you can keep weather events happening on a regular basis, if you can keep things going, it's like God used them to judge people, to cause the entire civilization. People can move. I'm not saying that even now with climate change, you blame climate change, but if you can, for instance, cause drought or cause issues in a certain area, you can move an entire group of people to emigrate to a different location. Controlling the weather is one of the most powerful things that the WEF and Bill Gates have stated is their goal. They want to control the precipitation. Mm-hmm. They want to control the amount of UV radiation.
Okay, so you think it was them testing it out?
Yes. We test things on our own citizens. Do you know Operation Sea Spray?
Atom bombs, yeah.
So Operation Sea Spray was something that the CIA did with the Navy, where they sprayed a biochemical weapon into the bay at San Francisco because it was already foggy out there, and they wanted to test how people would react to a biochem weapon. There ended up being at least one death and a couple other injuries and stuff like that, but they tested it on their own citizens. And this was in the 50s. This was when people had more.
Yeah, I always did this. They released LSD on the population to cause a social revolution, and it worked.
It did. But this is the thing, is they have for decades tested terrible things on citizens of the United States. So who is to say that they wouldn't precipitate rainfall, that they wouldn't cause the cloud seeding to overflow and flood?
Yeah, but they probably do. Like, this company probably does cloud seeding everywhere just for the crops and stuff. Like, do they not? They probably do it all the time, like all over Texas. So yeah,
but the timing of it is
there any evidence? Yeah, but like they probably do it all the time. My point is, like, is there any real evidence that this was like enough to create a flood, or that it's Like, don't you think they probably have some usual round of cloud seeding they do if they're not getting enough rain? I don't know.
Well,
I just hate when the right wing does this, where it's like everything's a conspiracy when it's like weather or something.
Everything's not a conspiracy. When the mainstream media, when the conglomerates, which by the way, if you know, like the local media outlets, NBC, right? These are all owned by the same group that owns almost every news station inside of local cities. NBC and Fox are not really associated with like News Corp or with the initial investors in New York. These companies are primarily owned by their own organization. I have an NDA and I've worked with them, so you can just look it up. It's a very common known company, but I'm not allowed to speak disparagingly of them. And the interesting thing about them is that they own all the advertising. And when someone has to come in and say, "Hey, this new tech startup that just received money to experiment with cloud seeding was experimenting," the key phrase, with cloud seeding in a region that just had, it doesn't mean that there wasn't already going to be a storm. It doesn't mean that flooding isn't natural. It had unnatural flooding, which is what the meteorologists were saying, that there was nothing they could have done to predict this. The way that the water rose was so quick, the amount of water that fell was something they couldn't have predicted, that there was no way they could have even warned people. By the way, experimental cloud seeding was taking place in this area. I would say it'd be naivety to even suggest that it wasn't related to whether or not the cloud seeding caused all of the flooding. I don't know if that would be what we'd be saying, or that it couldn't have been flooding without cloud seeding, or that there isn't a possibility that the cloud seeding could have been neutral. Sure. But when everyone's saying something's unnatural here, we couldn't have predicted this, we did everything we could have, and nothing could have predicted this. By the way, they were experimenting with precipitation in this area. Like, I mean, you know, my scientific brain, being formally educated in this, you can't make an authoritative claim that, yeah, we can prove this, but all theories are not really proofs. Theories are based on an educated guess based upon evidence. That's all a theory really is. And it's like, you know, just like the Dubai cloud seeding, they had catastrophic flooding like they had never seen. It was unnatural. By the way, that whole week they were cloud seeding the air to try to increase rainfall because of a drought. You're going, I don't think it's naivety. I don't think there's any other explanation. Where I don't think all floods, like I don't think all floods are caused by these things, but something does seem wrong.
It could be something where it rained anyways, and then they were.
It was going to rain anyways. It was a storm, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it could have been more, I don't know, accidental or whatever. I guess I'm just like, I'm just more skeptical of these things because, like, especially when it's like natural disaster stuff, I swear it's like every single time there's people on like the right wing on the internet who are like, oh, this hurricane was engineered. Oh, this was because they wanted the land. It's like, dude, like natural disasters have happened forever. To me, it's like the same brain rot as the left with everything being climate change. I don't know. That's just
China
like
did it. China admitted to doing
reaction to it.
What about the Three Gorges Dam?
I'm not saying that I don't think that exists at all. Obviously,
but China did this too. China clearly dammed the river
for every event that's happened.
Yeah, but I'm saying China. It was like what, the Yangtze River, or whatever. They dammed the river, and then they flooded their own people, and they told their own people it was like natural flooding because the water always flooded. And it turned out a decade later that like satellite images showed that they actually like dammed the river and like killed like tens of thousands of their own people. And it was and to this day you can't look it up in their firewalls, which I try to look it up when I was there working, and you can't prove. No one can prove that the damming is what killed the people. But then the plans leaked from the People's Republic showing that they were willing to sacrifice their own people to build the dam. And it's like, look. It's not that hard to believe that the Chinese government, in terms of progress, would sacrifice 10,000 people in the light of having over a billion people or so living there. It's really not that big of a deal. They don't communists never valued their own citizenry. They always look at the sacrifice based on the end result. And governments do kill their own people in other countries. If China would do it, maybe our government didn't try to kill people. I don't know if anyone's like, oh yeah, let's go kill some people there. But it's like, if some people do die, if they start wars knowing people are going to die without knowing the outcome, not everything is about bullets. Sometimes the best wars are fought without a shot fired,
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of what I'm saying is like, they go, there's a storm. Let's see what would happen in a situation like this. And maybe they're even like, shit, we didn't expect that. But that's an experiment. It's like, well, good. Now we know.
Well, Dubai was the same thing, right? They weren't meaning to cause catastrophic floods in Dubai, but that still was the outcome that happened. So it's entirely possible that it was like, oh, we're just going to seed these clouds and see what happens. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is way more than we expected. It's also entirely possible when you have a government that doesn't value its citizens to go, well, we're just going to do this because who cares about the people below, right? That is, both options are entirely feasible. It's just when you point that out, people often go, well, you're just making up theory. Like you said, theories are just educated guesses. Nothing is a proven, it's all hypotheses.
It's okay to ask these questions as well. Is there a chance that it's unrelated? Yes, of course, there's a chance that it's unrelated. And do a lot of times, do we go ahead and we search out to see if everything's a conspiracy? Yeah, because we're like abused people and then we're nervous around every corner. But with this, I mean, what we had is they went ahead, they cloud seeded. Just a few days later, you have this whole flood that happened immediately after. You know, that's very questionable. And a lot of times it gets people try to shut it down instantly and they'll be like, all right, you guys are just getting too conspiracy theorists. You're getting too out of control. We've seen the same thing in California. We've seen the same thing in other places when we had all the wildfires going on. Everybody was like, okay, somebody's going out and they're starting these fires on purpose and they're blaming it on climate change. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're just being crazy. And then the next thing you know, we're getting people who are getting arrested for exactly doing that, going out, starting these fires, making sure that you had these big blazes that were going across where normally we were attacked and told, oh, no, it's just climate change. No, there's nefarious characters that come in and cause this kind of trouble. And as far as our government's concerned, as I said, yes, there's a chance that they're not involved in this, but don't put it past the U.S. government to go ahead and, or any government for that matter, you know, to go ahead and test things on us. We've seen that, as you mentioned, MK Ultra, all these other kind of experiments that were put on the American people. They have no problem using these types of campaigns to, one, test what kind of products they have, two, to cause chaos and division or cause chaos to get us to look in different directions. So I think it's
skepticism's okay though, Sarah. By the way, I know what you mean because, to be fair, yes, there are like Q-tards who come out constantly. That's all I want to say. You're fair, but just listen to what he's saying. You don't want to jump to conclusions and be like, anytime something happens, like, it's the government. But also, did you not just get lied to about Epstein today? When has the government not only volunteered the truth, but when the truth is evident, they deny it? It's like, you have to sometimes use your thinking cap.
And we've seen them do things even with... No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think what you guys are saying is plausible that, you know, companies testing out something, probably just trying to make it rain because there was a drought there before and then they screwed up. They screwed up, so they don't want to take accountability for it. So they're just saying it has nothing to do with it. That argument makes sense. I guess I'm just saying like this thing of like, oh, this was to distract from the Epstein files, or like, oh, you know, it's like every time something happens in the world while something else is happening, it's like, oh, well, this was a coordinated distraction. Like that's the conspiratorial thinking that I'm just like, no, sometimes multiple things just happen and it's not like.
So you say make it rain?
Oh.
It's just like stupid.
It's not like our government would allow
things.
It's not like our government would allow 2 towers to fall in order to get us to go to an Iraq war that was 3 killed in 7.
But with that,
but if you don't want us to go into war,
slow switching.
But with that, there was an agenda behind it. It's not like, oh, 9/11 happened as a distraction. It's like, no, 9/11 happened because they want to be able to use 9/11 to go into the Middle East. So I'm just saying, like, in order to like have a conspiracy, there needs to be some kind of objective. It can't just be like,
that's literally John Brennan said. John Brennan said on film, like if you look it up, he said legitimately that we have weather manipulation weapons, and like that's the point of it. They're for weaponry, and it's like come on. It's like this happened. If it was really a natural disaster and it wasn't, people knew about it. Why would Ted Cruz be crying about the IDF the same day his state's getting flooded? Like these people don't care. You know what I mean? And like to put it in perspective, by the way, there's a $5 super chat, which I don't know what happened to it. I think it was on YouTube. I don't know if you. Oh, we got it here. Sorry, Sarah. I have to read the chats. Down to Earth 888 gave $5. Said mute Sarah. She doesn't get it. They do things like this because they are evil and thrive on creating chaos. The COVID vax was a bioweapon. Why wouldn't they unleash the weather weapons? I'm just like, look, and that's just one man's
same
opinion.
thing. It's like same thing. Okay, personal opinion. Same thing with COVID and everything that happened there. That's not just because there's these people rubbing their hands together and they're like, oh, we want to sow chaos and destruction with no end goal in mind. Like there's always like a reason.
You don't think the devil is the
my
author of
point.
confusion, and like you don't think that there are anarchists or like people?
The devil's still working. The devil's still working through people who want to achieve some goal that benefits them somehow or some group of people they're part of. So it's not like they're just like, oh, we want to sow chaos or whatever. We want 9/11 to happen for no reason. It's like, no, they wanted 9/11 to happen to benefit Israel.
You never met you were at a riot. You don't know people just love chaos. Like the devil loves this is the dispensational position though.
Low IQ retards love chaos, but not the people who run everything.
Yeah, but yes they do, because one of the things
chaos if it serves some goal though.
But chaos does serve a goal. Chaos doesn't have to have chaos doesn't have to have a immediate goal. One of the main reasons, like I'm just telling you, like what these people understand is that a chaotic society that lacks peace searches for tranquility somewhere. And when that place of peace is not from God, and when God does not bring peace when the people pray because the society has rejected God, chaos breeds more chaos, and disorder brings the craving for order. So one of the reasons why they want chaos is because they want to instigate, like the immigration issue. Why would they just let immigrants over if they're just going to kill people and rape people and stuff? Well, it's pretty simple. It's if you create chaos and you're going to create a desire for a fascistic government. And while we are not fascist, one day the rising will happen. And because of surveillance, my theory is we'll probably lose that rising. I'm not trying to blackpill here. Then they will crush the dissent and enact tyranny with justifiable means like they did in 9/11. So what they need is to have universal control to get technocratic global feudalism. They need global chaos, which is why Western nations are the only nations that are asked to diversify. It's because that's what they want to control. The Anglosphere is where they need to crush in order to gain global international control, because that's where the banks are located. So it's like, it doesn't matter whether it's weather. Like look at this. Like I don't. People say that the hurricane in North Carolina was caused by weather modification. Look, I didn't look into it, so I'm not even saying it is or isn't. I have no idea. What I can tell you is that you would say, well, how is weather politicized? And then you look at FEMA and you see FEMA, you mentioned the last show, has a handbook literally telling people to overlook Trump supporters and text messages internally saying, we're going to bring chaos into a red area and intentionally not help them. Like it's like we're gonna literally break up a zone and not help them during a time of voting and everything going on in the country. We saw the weaponization of weather, whether it's not the weather itself and it's the response. People do use weather manipulation tactics, whether it's from God or man. It wouldn't even matter in that situation, to target a person politically. And that happened just in the last 12 months in the US. So it's like, for me, they always say, what's that quote? You always say the government wouldn't do that, right? And it's like, yeah. It's like, until they do.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like the skepticism we're having is, how could you not, in this situation, think the most plausible cause or probable cause was cloud seeding? I personally, that's just my deductive reasoning. You can have a different position, and like I think a lot of people would agree with you. So it's not like I'm dismissing your position, because I think people will agree. I just I think I've been through too much of life now to where, like, by the time you're 30, it's true, it's not even a joke. By the time you're like 21 or 22, if you've been paying attention for 5 or 6 years, you kind of have a better grasp and understanding how the world works than somebody who's been watching mainstream media for 40 years. You know, like it's, and I don't mean that the old don't know what they're talking about. I mean, the racist ones do, but I'm talking about the fact that, like, you know, if you really sit around and you watch what's going on, what might have taken Alex Jones 20 years to try to deduce and understand, you could figure it out in 12 months just plugging into the internet and going, shit, they would fly planes into the Twin Towers and the towers wouldn't bring it down. I mean, the planes wouldn't bring it down. They had to have detonated the core structure, and you could find out very quickly that the whole modern world was built upon resets. And in 2020, you have a book from Klaus Schwab coming out about the Great Reset and about COVID. It's like the same time it comes out, where they just changed the words, and you find out that the injection was
beforehand.
Was for 2 years, was being developed already, and that you had the Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is that was
2020? Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, the pandemic preparedness and international plans that went on a year before, and then you found out that the International World Games, where everyone came, military games, happened in Wuhan during the time of the release of the infection, which spread it around the world. Like, you find that, like, is that really an accident? Was that all coincidence?
Serendipity.
I just don't believe it. I don't know if you do, but I don't believe it. I'm asking you if you believe it. Like, I'm saying, I don't. Yeah, I was responding to you. I was saying, I'm not dismissing your position. I just feel like you can't think everything's a coincidence anymore. But I understand you can also think everything's a conspiracy until you realize it all is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, it is all a conspiracy.
I think a lot of things are conspiracies. I just I don't know. I think it's when it's like everything that happens is. I feel like I just need to see some reason, and then hearing like, oh, it's just so chaos. It doesn't really do it for me, to be honest. Like,
sorry, Event 201. Someone connect in the chat. Text me.
201.
Event 201. Yeah, Event 201.
Also, Agenda 2030. That was
I'm confusing the both. But Event 201 was the global pandemic preparedness games, where they planned for a mass pandemic a year before the pandemic on how they were going to respond. And then, by the way, I'd like to let you know that it is, by the way, in Australia, they have massive and rapid development of new cancers that have ever been found in people under 30, and the highest prevalence of cancer in the world, also the highest something rates that they took. And they're unrelated, by the way, but they are asking taxpayers to donate extra money to install defibrillators by the state government in everybody's house, because the amount of increase of heart failure in people under 30, which has to do with climate change. I'm not joking. They said it's climate change, and because the climate change, which is probably why the government there likes me so much.
Yeah, they try to use that for everything. They even say that's why you have all the immigrants who are going to be piling into our country, that the world will be displaced, because the WEF actually wrote that, saying that because of extreme weather will cost it for migration. It also says that eventually, if the extreme weather continues, then we'll be forced to go to certain areas that'll be safer than others. And I mean, that the whole WEF is crazy. It leads down the 15-minute cities and everything else going down that way.
Did you see this, though? Doomsday Cracker told us, by the way, Sarah, that you don't know what you're talking about, that there is a picture. He has a picture of the cumulus clouds being seeded. Did you see this? He put that. I read it first. I thought it was a scientific word. It's like cumulus clouds. And I was like, oh, cumulus clouds.
I thought you were the seeder, not the cloud. In your analogy.
It looks like he was getting seeded in that one.
True.
Also, Zesty 8 sent $1 in locals and said, Trump's golden age equals the Jew gold he'll receive.
Shekels.
Did we miss, by the way, I think there's one more actually. And then someone said this, what is this? What do you say? How this Epstein shit got us feeling right here. They sent in this meme here. I like the Facebook memes here in the chat. All right. That being said, for the last part of the show, as always, we go over to locals. I want to remind you guys, if you want to win this, you can join our book club. This Sunday, we're going through chapters 4 through 6. You can grab this there at ElijahSchaefer.locals.com if you want to join us. But on top of that, you can watch our book club. It's every Sunday. Sarah picked the book. Sarah, why should they join the book club? Why should they read? Remember, tell them how they can win this, and then also plug your socials. We'll go to Braeden and then to Snowflake here, and then we'll switch over to locals. Go ahead.
Yeah, join the book club because I picked the book, so you got to read it. And also because you get to learn a lot about the history of the Middle East and why we are so involved in it. And it gives you a lot more context about everything that's happening today with Israel, Trump, and Iran. And if you want to follow me, go to my socials. It's just Sarah C. Stock on X and on Instagram. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just called Sarah Stock.
All right, my turn. Yes, everyone, buy the book, sorbostudios.com. Maybe they'll do it as a book club eventually. Probably not, but that's okay. Sorbostudios.com. Embrace masculinity, lifting men up in a world that pushes them down. You can find me on X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the handle Braeden Sorbo. So go check me out, follow me there, see what I'm up to.
All right. And you can find me at snowflake_news. I'm on Instagram as well as X. Love for you guys to come check it out.
Yeah, and by the way, we have 2 more super chats here. Shout out to Cocteau, $5. I cracked there. Great show, guys and gal. Ooh. Thanks, Cocteau, for joining the party. Also, Homer J. Fuentes back in the chat with $20. Getting a congratulations on confetti as well. You get confetti for $20, which is always nice. Said Sam Tripoli's tinfoil hat, number 824. So check that out. The history of geoengineering weather modification with Jim Lee. Visit his website, weathermodificationhistory.com. This goes back over 100 years. Can we also, we should get that person on the show too, you know, on Almost Serious. By the way, tomorrow we have, do we have tomorrow? Lily Gaddis is back on?
Yes.
On the Redemption Show. It's Lily Gaddis's Redemption Show. So that's good.
And the only way she can be redeemed is by saying it twice. And you know what I mean by it.
Well, she's actually doing really well on YouTube, so I feel like she's proven herself that she can handle YouTube again. He said that. Also, on top of that, we have one more $20 super chat. Let's go. By Check Factor. Said, ever stop to think that maybe they want to block the sun and make it rain because the Bible indicates that God will melt the earth? You know, I never did think of that that remark in that. Just a reminder before we switch over, don't forget if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. It's not like that. Please clap. Because we're trying to get to 5K by tomorrow morning. I want to wake up. I want to see 5K. And if we don't, then we're going to have a problem. Someone else said, thanks, Sarah. Now go make me a sandwich. That's sad. I didn't even read that. That's Dehar Master. Sounds like an Indian.
It does.
It does, huh?
Probably.
Dehar Master. Would you ever make a sandwich for an Indian, Sarah?
No. I wouldn't even eat a sandwich made by an Indian.
So don't eat at Tim Hortons. It's true. That being said, we will be there anyways. For the rest of you guys, we're going to do a quick be right back. We'll see you over at Locals Only at ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. Join the community. I appreciate those that are there. For the last segment, we're going to talk about some culture, some stuff that's going on, some other stories. And we're excited to see you there. So we'll be right back for the rest of the show. For those of you watching, we'll see you around. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you tomorrow night live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be right back.